Welcome to TSO Daily Dose. TSO Daily Dose is our way of connecting with you in these challenging times. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and connect with us on Facebook with the hashtag TSO Daily Dose. Welcome to the TSO Daily Dose. Today's clip is from our last performance that we performed together as an orchestra. It's Vaughan Williams' The Lark Ascending, performed by our concertmaster, Emma McGrath. So Emma, tell me what it was like to perform such a moving and poignant piece to an empty concert hall as the last time we are meeting as an orchestra for the foreseeable future.
Well, it was very moving, but it was a very unsettling week because, of course, the situation was changing daily. And we didn't know whether we were going to perform. We didn't know what day we were going to perform. The whole schedule got completely changed around. And I just felt incredibly lucky to be able to play the piece with the orchestra, even though it was to no audience. In a funny way, it didn't matter that much because I knew that it was being recorded, and therefore it would go out to an audience around the world. And interestingly, when you're on stage and the lights are quite bright, especially when you're in the soloist part, there's a light right on you. And it's funny, I couldn't see the audience.
I wonder about your relationship with this piece, because whenever we program it, audiences come in droves. It's a piece that will always draw people in, and it's such a special piece for them. Tell me about your relationship to this piece as well. What brings you and audiences to it?
Well, it does tend to get programmed quite a lot in England, where I grew up.
Yeah.
It has enduring beauty and incredible stillness and a wonderful evocation of a lark, the way that it soars so high at the end that you can't see it, but you can just hear it. And I think that this sort of connection to nature and peacefulness is what's really necessary in life today, and always has been. It's just a wonderful piece, and it's quite unique. It's not a concerto. It doesn't have 3 separate movements. It has a few different characters. But you can really, from the very first chord, you're instantly lulled into this sense of nature and being present. And yeah, it's just very serene.
You said the first time you performed this, you were 19.
Yes.
That was not that long ago, but longer than 2 years.
Oh, we talked about this.
We talked about this. Have you developed in your performance of it? Obviously you have, but how have you? Have you started to appreciate the stillness of life more, especially after moving to Tassie?
Definitely. It's interesting how a piece takes shape when you perform it over a long period of time, such as 2 years. It actually, for me, this tends to just happen on its own. Very rarely do I take a piece and go, right, I'm going to do this differently. Sometimes a technical thing, I go, I know how to tackle this in a more efficient way. But in terms of interpretation, it's almost like the piece lives through you rather than me making conscious choices to make it different or to make it represent who I am now. I have this philosophy that generally people play as they are. And so I was obviously quite different at age 19 to age 21. And so it takes on a life of its own, and you're kind of along for the ride a little bit. It's good to not always control these things. If you think about every single phrase and every single thing that you're doing, you kind of strangle yourself. But if you allow something to breathe and take on a life of its own, it happens in the most magical way. And sometimes I'm playing going, oh, I had no idea I was going to do that. And I really like that, what I just did. And I don't even feel like I just did it. I almost feel like something spoke through me and I was just a vessel for that.
It just took you on that pathway.
Yes, it happens quite frequently if I've practiced enough. Now, if I haven't practiced enough, if it's a last minute thing, then I don't feel comfortable enough for that to happen. So that's why preparation is so important, so that you can allow a performance to have some sort of flexibility and being in the moment like that.
So we brought this performance forward today.
Yeah.
And, as performers, we are sort of like elite athletes. We aim towards a goal. When the performance date moves forward like that, did that change your preparation?
No.
Did it?
So I kind of
disrupt
have
you?
this, no, not really, because it would have before kids.
Yeah.
But now that I have kids, I can't allow myself to be so bound to that kind of structure, because you just never know when you're going to have a sleepless night or something ridiculous going on at home. So I tell myself, look, I have to be performance ready at the drop of a hat about 6 weeks before I actually play the performance. And then I can sort of tread water and be fairly relaxed and allow the interpretation to become the most forefront thing, rather than, got to get through the notes and make sure I'm prepared. And then I can deal with any, ridiculous thing that might happen in one's life.
Yeah.
So bringing it forward a day was no big deal.
It's much of a muchness at that point.
Yeah.
It's already well embodied in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I was going to ask, it's a very, to me, when I hear it, it's a very English pastoral sounding piece.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make you homesick?
Yeah, but funnily enough, I don't really know where home is now. Of course, it makes me homesick. But every time I leave Tasmania, I get a bit homesick for Tasmania as well. So there is something, let me put it this way. I've lived a few different places, and my thing is nature and mountains and lakes and beautiful places. And so I've seen some of the world's greatest natural spaces, but there's still nothing quite like the English countryside. So playing something like the Lark Ascending or a bit of Elgar definitely brings that back to my heart.
It sounds like the English countryside
Yes.
to me. It really does.
Yeah.
And on that note, please enjoy the Tasmanian Symphony Orchestra performing the Lark Ascending with Concertmaster Emma McGrath.